Sports app.
The reveal begins. We, with the help of star-studded panel, have been compiling our composite list of the top 40 players in almost 40 years of Sacramento Kings basketball. Jay has been doing a ton of work behind the scenes here on this. He's really the one who knows who's on the list, who's not on the list. So we've asked Jay to handle the reveal for us, which we appreciate, Jay. Can you just one more time remind us who's on the panel, some of the esteemed members of the panel, and what the criteria was for this? Because I'm sure that's one of the things people wonder about.
Sure. The panelists, we reached out to numerous panelists, and like you said, esteemed Kings dignitaries, national,
and Carmichael
local,
Dave,
and Carmichael Dave,
and Carmichael Dave. Who?
Go ahead. No, I'll let you.
He
take care of Dave.
He couldn't. Yeah, didn't have the time to actually fill out the list. He's too busy. Couldn't be bothered.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
So-called Sacramento King fan.
Legendary piece of the King's Kingdom, and he can't even take care of it. But we reached out to, one of the things that I wanted to do, and we had a discussion, fellas, was making sure that we covered the full gamut. We have a lot of people who cover the Kings, and when I say that, I mean beat reporters, we have analysts, we have writers who do their own thing independently. So I want to make sure that we had a smorgasbord of people. Mm-hmm. So I tried to reach out. We've got the Kings Herald, Akis Yurikostas part of it. He'll be on the show. We had Matt Issa of the Royal Pain. We had Joe Adge of Ethos. We had Bobby Gerald, who's been around, of course, father of the G-Men. We had, of course, the Drive guys being part of it. Frankie Cardicelli. We got to get a couple of the youngsters. Chris Watkins. People who aren't 40 plus. Mm-hmm. They've been acclimated to the Kings a little later.
Together, they're 40. Right, 4 of them. Yeah.
Maybe we had to put a former player, Henry Turner, the high flyer. He'll be jumping in on Friday, coming to the studio to talk about his. And he has an interesting take on certain things. I'll let the high flyer speak on that. So Sean Cunningham, Scott Moak, the sign lady and sign man, Mr. Nico Rest and Mrs. Rest, who will be on the show this week. They'll talk about, how they want about putting their top 40 together. So just a smorgasbord of people, a couple more that I haven't named that will. Antonio Ray Harvey, he'll be on the show this week. So you'll see a couple of the dignitaries jump on the Drive guys this week.
Yeah, we had Gary Gerald, you mentioned Bobby.
Yes, G-Man part of it. Pete Youngman part
Jared
of it.
Reynolds, Pete Youngman.
Yeah, just a smorgasbord.
Yeah. So what we have now are the 10 guys that didn't make the 40, but are still they deserve to be mentioned here and quite honorably mentioned, right, Jay? And they're in no particular order?
Yeah, no particular order. No particular order as we get to it. Let me throw out a couple of tidbits, news, notes, information, fellas. Just some things that I thought were interesting as I compile some of these numbers. And I want to kind of get your take and let some of the Sac Sports 1140 listeners, chew on it a little bit. So we finished with 19 panelists.
Wow.
Dang, we finished with 19.
Supposed to have 20, but Dave couldn't do it.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a couple more, a few people who could make it, and I'm not throwing them out there. It's life. It's busy. Yeah, over the week. We've got national guys who jump around. So we weren't able to get a few in by the deadline. So we had 19 to finish with. At least 78 players got one vote.
Wow. So
78 people
for a
players,
40 spot.
For a 40 shot. Absolutely. 78 people got at least one vote. 18 players, fellas, appeared on all the ballots. 18.
Okay. Only 18, though.
I'll let the people who come on explain some of the reason that maybe some of the other ones did not.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's a few.
That number would be higher.
Yeah,
It's a good number, but I thought it'd be higher.
Yeah, I did too. 18 players. 19 players received one vote. So 19 players of the 78 received only one vote.
Damn.
They only appeared on the
one
ballot
of the 19.
one time on one of those votes, or on one of the ballots. Excuse me, one vote for one of the ballots. With that being said, I'm going to run it down. Stay up with me, fellas. 8 players, they received 2 votes. So 19 got 1. 8 players received 2 votes.
And in theory, we're never going to find out who those are.
You won't know who those are. Yeah. And I'm reading these off so we kind of get to that. 5 players received 3 votes.
Okay.
5 got 3. 3 players received 4 votes.
Okay.
2 players received 5 votes. 2 people received 6 votes. And the reason I count that down is it took 7 votes or better to make the top 40, fellas.
All right. 7 votes or
so
better.
You needed 7 votes to make this top 40 all-time Sacramento era. Of course, Sacramento Kings got list.
So 2 legends fell 1 vote short.
Correct.
Wow. Yeah, 2 got 6.
Pretty much.
Get that 7.
Ooh, I can't.
How I went about it is we assigned number rankings, and I kept it very simple. What I did was, of course, we're breaking down the top 40, and I just went in reverse. If you got the first place vote, you got 40 points.
Okay.
You second place, you got 39, so on and so forth. So I kept it very simple. I didn't want to put all the algorithms that we see, when it comes to hoops, hypes, and all that other stuff. I kept it super simple, and it worked out because you had some guys, like I said, received 5 guys received 3 votes. It kind of made it very interesting because me, Drapes, and you may see player A different, but where we listed them on that ballot, those points assigned to those guys made a difference.
Yep.
Couple other things. 20 centers, the position that most people consider as a wash now in the NBA.
Wow.
20 centers were voted in the list. And when I say
20 of the 78?
20 of the 78.
Okay.
Yeah, not 20 of the 40. We're just talking about the full 78.
Purvis Ellison. I'm surprised.
Purvis Ellison.
Did he show up?
He showed up one time.
No.
He got a vote.
No, he didn't.
He got a vote.
Whitey, why did you? Oh, my God.
Was he on the panel?
Purvis Ellison got 1 vote.
Purvis.
Yes, he made an appearance, fellas. Here's a breakdown of the decade. 1980s, 10 players made the list. So meaning they only played in the 1980s for the Kings. In the 1990s, 15 players made the top 78. The 2000s, 2000 to 2010, 14 players made the list. 2010s, and this is interesting because this is kind of the era where it's like, these were the down years for the Sacramento Kings. 2010s to 2020, 16 players appeared on the 78.
Damn.
Recency bias.
Yeah, maybe. Currently, and when I say current, I say 2020 to 2024, 6 players showed up on the 78 list. And because we have to do crossovers, we got a bunch of guys that crossed over, meaning they played in one decade. Could have been 89 to the 90s, 98 to 2004. That thing, we had 17 players crossover.
Okay.
A lot of those, of course, would be on the 97, 98, 99, that kind of span.
Right.
The last couple years, the Buddy Hield transformed into 2017 to 2020. So 17 crossovers.
Did Purvis Ellison really get
Purvis Ellison got 1 vote. I'm telling you.
Okay.
And that person who voted for Purvis Ellison will be coming on the show.
Okay.
So I'll let you know when that comes around, like who that person is. And, we'll have that discussion.
Yeah,
but
that's we wanted a wide cross section.
Yes, we did.
Why we had so many people on the panel.
Purvis Ellison did appear. Real quick, fellas, I also asked, as we talked about it on Friday, 5 questions. Here's just some of those questions, the answers, and the most responses we got. The most overrated King. Guys, want to take a guess? Most overrated King.
I don't know. Somebody said Jason Williams, right? Then we
Chris Watkins today, right?
Watson said that.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be right. Jay Will.
Really?
Of all the 19 that answered the question, Jay Will was voted number 1. Second, Whitey, you'll be proud of this. Well, not so much as proud, but I think you might be barking up the same tree. DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Number 2. Number 3, Bobby Hurley. Someone that I said.
Okay. Somebody said that.
Yeah.
Right.
Favorite King. I think most people would probably say what? Chris Webber. He's voted number 1. Number 2, The Rock, Mitch Richmond. Number 3, a little interesting, Doug Christie. Number 3 voted. He had the most third place votes. The most underrated Sacramento King, Kevin Martin.
Yeah.
Kevin Martin voted number 1. Number 2, Tizzy. Wayman Tisdale, the great Wayman Tisdale. Number 3, you'll hear this name again, Doug Christie.
Wow.
Third most votes for most underrated Sacramento King in the Sacramento Kings era.
I'll just say this: when it came to actually putting my list together, I realized, putting everything together, Doug Christie I had higher than I would have thought I would. But, when you look at all things, like you say, it's like, man, that guy needs to be high up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys are spot on with that. Sacramento King, when you say Kings, the Sacramento King who comes to mind first, number 1, Chris Webber. No surprise there. Number 2, I was a little surprised. De'Aaron Fox.
When you think of Kings.
D. Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, you say Kings. Number 3, which is a little crazy because he's considered the most overrated King out of this. J. Will, tied with Eddie Johnson. My cousin.
Eddie,
My cousin Eddie Johnson.
That's awesome.
Making an appearance. And the King that you would have wanted to see finish their career here in Sacramento, number 1, Chris Webber.
C-Web.
Number 2, the man who got a championship leaving here, Peja Stojakovic. Number 3, DeMarcus Cousins.
Damn, see? Okay.
DeMarcus Cousins. Something that we've had a nauseum conversation over the last week. Doesn't really doesn't surprise me. A few things off our list, meaning the drive guys here. We placed 32 of the 40 players we all agreed on on the ballot.
Okay.
Our first disagreement began at number 3.
Damn. Okay. That's hilarious.
I don't know why. These are all really interesting. The one that just kind of gets me a little bit is you say Kings. Who do you think of? Eddie Johnson and J. Will. I'm down with that. But Eddie Johnson, after all these years, getting a mention there, that's really cool. You have to get him on.
Oh yeah. We'll have to. We'll definitely have to get Eddie Johnson on. So with that, fellas, anything beside that, Drapes? You got any on those numbers? Anything on those numbers? Anything surprise you? Anything on the answers? Pretty much thought what you thought.
I guess the overrated with J. Will thing is kind of blasphemous to me. I don't know. I got him pretty high on my list, and
I do too.
The people think that he's overrated. I looked it up. They won 55 games his last season here, second in the division. Like, he was part of the change in Sacramento. I think people aren't giving him enough credit for that.
My guess would be a lot of people look at the fact that they got better after they made that deal. And it wasn't because they got rid of him so much as they brought in Bibby.
But it wasn't like they got astronomically better. Like, I think people don't realize he was on a 55-win team there.
It's just it's really interesting to hear the confirmation too that Chris Webber, everyone still loves number one.
Number one.
Yeah, people love
number one in most Kings fans' heart.
Yeah. All right, Jay.
Fellas, with that being said, let's get to the honorable mention.
Yes.
Players who just missed out on making our Sacramento Kings, Sacramento era all-time top 40 list. I'll give you the names.
And these are not in order.
They are not in order. Maybe. I'll let you know. And then, guys, you can go ahead and get, I know you guys went 40 and under, but you tell me what your thoughts on that. Okay. Coming in, we start with the man who led the league in assists here in Sacramento, Rajon Rondo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rajon Rondo did not make the top 40, made top 50. Rajon Rondo. Someone that go ahead, Drake.
Are we going to pontificate about each one? Or?
By all means.
I understand that. He only was here 1 year. And that's why I struck him down on my list. He was not in my top 40 because one season. I need more than that. I know you led the league in assists, but I need more than that.
Yeah. My first feeling when you say that is, this list is on point.
Yep. So far, so good.
This list is on point.
Okay. You're liking where we're going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone that I think we've discussed, some fans kicked in, and it's they didn't cross over long enough here in Sacramento, but definitely played for Sacramento Kings. For the Kings organization. Just didn't put in enough time here in Sacramento. Mike Woodson.
Ooh, yeah.
Mike Woodson.
Late scratch for me too.
Yep. Late scratch, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What reason why?
Just what you said. I didn't realize when I first put my list together, he was definitely on there. And then I didn't realize, he wasn't here that long.
Wasn't here long.
Before they traded him.
Yeah. Right. Definitely. Mike Woodson making an appearance on the honorable mention. Coming up next.
That's a good list.
Someone that I thought would probably make it, and Drace, I think you spot on, when you do a deep dive, he is a fan favorite. He is Mrs. Gleason's favorite, but he just didn't put the time in, and we caught him on the back end of his career. Sharif Abdul-Rahim.
Yep.
Coming in.
Yep.
Just a bit shy of the 40.
Not on my list.
What
but
my wife always remembers about him is when Zebo broke his jaw.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But even last week, as we talked about this, she said, I don't know if he was here long enough. And that's her favorite.
There it is. Right?
Yeah.
Did she put in a vote?
No.
Oh, okay. Just check.
All right.
Someone who had a couple years here in the 80s, Mr. Rodney McCray.
Oh, he was on my list.
Rodney McCray.
Was he on your list?
Yeah.
Just a few
Was he?
off.
Yeah.
Just a few
Oh,
off.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Rodney McCray. That was Jerry Reynolds' guy, too, right? Jerry, we had him on last week, and he mentioned Rodney McCray.
Yeah.
I think fellas just didn't have enough time here.
And it was a long time
2
ago.
years.
They
That
weren't
too.
very good.
That too. A step above that is someone played 1990-91. The big dog, Antoine Carr. 19 points in the Kings uniform, though.
Yeah, he was on my initial list.
He was
of
on my
60,
list.
But was he?
Yeah, I had him on my list. And
Good guy, too.
Antoine Carr, I had him. Yeah, I had him pretty high. Top 30. He was top 30 on my list.
So far, honorable mention, guys that didn't make the top 40, but did get a lot of mentions. Rondo, Mike Woodson, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Rodney McCray, and Antoine Carr.
Yes, sir. That's the first initial 5. We continue to move, and we keep it in the point guard era. Someone who played 3 years here in Sacramento. Good dude. Played for the Pacers.
Oh, yeah.
Put up decent numbers.
Yeah.
14 and above, 13 and above. Darren Collison.
I think he also
3 years here in the Sacramento
He's
Kings
on my
uniform.
list. I made him.
He was on my list too.
Yeah.
He was on my list. 3 years. I thought he did enough. He put up enough points.
Yep.
He was kind of like that transition into kind of where we're at now a little bit. Darren was part of the list. He did not make the top 40 according to our panelists. Someone who only put, I believe, 56 or 52 games. I got to go back and triple check. Great guy. We'll probably get him on this week. Bonzi Wells.
Oh, Bonzi.
Bonzi, just a little short.
Here. Yeah.
Fellas, I mean, just a little short of making that top 40.
Yep.
And I think it's the time. He didn't put in enough time, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yes. The one season, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But he made the playoffs. A lot of people talk about it. Of course, the series against the Spurs, a lot of people love. He actually got more votes than I thought. He was just a little bit short.
Okay.
Yeah, 916 says if Rondo's in the top 50, Bonzi has to be, and boom, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah, whoever's in the 916, they must have seen the list. Someone that will be joining us this week. I let it slip out a little bit here as I sent it to you on our guest list. A few points short. Bino Udrih.
Oh,
wow.
Bino Udrih coming in an honorable mention.
Was he one of the two that got 6 votes?
Let me check that for you. Hold tight.
Because I might have been the one that kept Bino from being on the list. I didn't have him in my top 1. You didn't either? Okay. All right.
Well, then it's both of y'all fault.
Right,
because Bino had 6 votes.
Oh, snap.
So y'all can tell him on Friday what happened.
I don't feel as bad now. It's not just me. All right. Wow.
Bino was 1 vote short and a couple of points away from, making the top 40. And it is your fault now. Now that I know.
The Tasmanian Slovenian, I think is what Jerry called him.
Man, and he's out of the country right now, but he'll be joining the show on Friday at 2:30.
Well, maybe he won't now.
Well, Bino's a good dude. Of course, G League coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, last year. And so Bino, good dude. The next 2 just missed it by a clip. By the hairs of the chinny chin chin. Beloved Sacramento King. Beloved. Cried when he was traded.
Ooh.
He cried. Like he said, I cried like a baby in one of the interviews. Tyrese Halliburton. Coming in. And I'll even tell you, he came in at a smooth 42. He just missed it.
Wow. I did not have Tyrese in my top 40.
I did not
I couldn't do it.
Guess what? He was another guy who got 6 votes.
Damn.
And it might have been all our fault. Whitey, did you vote for Ty?
We messed up. Oh, shoot.
I don't think I did.
Hey, it's our show. We could do that. You know what I mean? We could do that.
But there's 19 panelists, so it wasn't just us.
It wasn't just us.
We're not the only ones with blood on our hands.
Tyrese, 6 votes. He missed by a vote and a few bonus points.
Okay.
A few points. Oh, and I should have said this. Drapes, you made a great point on Friday. Our votes mattered. So what I did was everyone that was on our ballots, I gave them an extra 5 bonus points.
So it's the drive guys.
The drive guys made the difference in some of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So just so you know, we did put the bump on it a little bit, and it helps some people. It definitely helps some people.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The last honorable mention of the day, 7 votes. He got 7 votes. He got the proper votes that was needed. He missed out by
on the points.
25 points. And the person who's 40 it actually surprised me, and we'll get that to tomorrow. Marcus Thornton.
Marcus Thornton did not make it.
Marcus Thornton finished at 41.
I had Marcus Thornton on my list. I had him at 40.
I had him on my list.
Whitey did not have Marcus Thornton.
I did not.
Come on, Whitey.
I believe I had Collison on my final 40, but the others I did not have on my list.
Well, I can go back and check it. Let's see. Let's see exactly. So real quick, fellas.
Oh, I had Rodney McRae also.
Oh, yeah, you had McRae.
2. Let's recap real fast.
Yes.
Rajon Rondo, honorable mention. Mike Woodson, honorable mention.
Yep.
Mrs. Gleason's favorite, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, honorable mention. Rodney McRae, honorable mention. The big dog, Antoine Carr, and the goggles, honorable mention. Darren Collison of 3 years for the Sacramento Kings service, honorable mention. Bonzi Wells, 1 year, a good run for the Sacramento Kings to the playoffs, honorable mention. Bino Udry, the Tasmanian,
Slovenian.
honorable mention. Slovenian. Ty Halliburton, honorable mention with 6 votes. And Marcus Thornton, 7 votes. He had 7 votes. Missed out on the points.
Dang.
All honorable mention here for the Sacramento Kings. Top 40 all-time Sacramento era Kings players. They just missed it.
They missed it.
Mm-hmm.
They missed it.
Ramsey says Marcus Thornton finished outside the top 40. Bayou Bomber got buckets while in Sacramento.
The Bayou Bomber. That's right.
Yeah, he just missed.
Wow.
Just missed. I think it's going to be a good list.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had Marcus. Drapes, did you have Marcus?
I did have Marcus.
You had Marcus?
Yep.
Okay.
I had him at 40.
You did not have Marcus Thompson. Thornton. Excuse me, Marcus Thornton. You did not.
But I think I had McRae and I think I had Collison.
You had, let's see here. You had Darren Collison. You did. And you had Rodney McRae.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Jay, because I got a guy who's one of my favorite players. It's my guy. I thought he'd be in that 40 to 50 range.
Okay.
Nah, I'm not even going. I can't even because he might be in the top 40.
Well,
he might be in the top 40.
I mean, TBD, TBA.
So I'm not even going. My guy Francisco Garcia. Let me just say, he was on my bubble. He was. I didn't vote for him top 40, but he was on my honorable mentions.
Let's see if you voted. Did you have him? You said he was not on your top 40?
No, I did not have him on. I wanted to trust me. I wanted to give him that extra boost. But I could not do it based on
Marcus Thornton at number 40. So
I have Marcus Thornton at 40.
You did not have Francisco Garcia listed on here.
That's my guy.
He had Antoine Carr, 29.
Jay, why you
29? You said top 30.
I told you, I had Antoine Carr pretty high.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
That's a good one.
The big dog, man. He was, come on now.
Good player.
Good player. Nobody talk about him. Good player.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Whitey? Anybody on that you had or didn't have?
It's funny. I take it a little personally, the guys that I had on there that didn't make it, McRae and Collison, I get it and everything. But other than that, I think it's like I said, it's like, man, this is going to be a good list. You can just tell that we have people that know what they're talking about that put this list together. If you have these guys on almost, but not quite.
Where'd you have Bino? Did you have him on your list?
I did not have him on.
You didn't have him either, right? Yeah.
It's your fault.
It might be an oversight on my part. Like, I don't know. He's probably on that right outside looking in kind of thing. But then I did a deeper dive, and I'm like, I could see him being, because here's the thing about Marcus Thornton. And I had him number 40 on my list. He wasn't here that long. And even the seasons he was here, look at the games played. It wasn't like he played 70 games, 80 games. You know what I mean? It was like 26 and then 50-something. But I still gave him the benefit of the doubt and put him on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Averaged 14 points in the Sacramento Kings uniform. It doesn't sound like much, but when you go through the history and like you say, you do the deep dive, that's pretty good.
Yeah, these are good players. Maybe we should have done 50. Tomorrow we'll get into the 40. Going to take a little bit of a break. We'll let you ponder all that. When we come back, Mike Sando's going to join us. Mike Sando is the one who today posted his quarterback tiers in The Athletic. So we'll look at that, where Brock Purdy ranked and how Brock Purdy rose up the tiers when we come back to Sactown Sports.